Hello, my name is Mohammed Khan, and this is my video submission for my Mobile Web App Development Modules Assessment 1. I've loaded all the apps onto the Android emulator to make it easy to navigate through them, and I have all the code ready to display as well and explain. Let's begin. In the first button app, I tried to stay true to the UI of the examples, and you can see it's fully functional. Top left button clicked, top right button clicked, bottom left button clicked, bottom right button clicked, center button clicked, and all of the toast texts appear in their respective locations. I found this the most difficult to do to begin with because I didn't fully understand how to do it. I had to first change the dimensions and the width, the height. But if we go and look at the code, over time I had resolved it by using gravity, the gravity function, gravity top, gravity bottom, gravity center. The custom toast as well. I had to use, as you can see my comments here, create custom toast, and you can see gravity top and the offsets is how I navigated this. This was by far the biggest issue that I faced with this app. It was orientating the buttons. That was the most difficult part of this. But I overcame that through just simply watching some YouTube videos and some guides explaining how to position buttons correctly and how to use my functions. We will now go on to the next app, which was the Countries and Cities Spinner app. I've already used it once before, and as you can see that it's a pretty simple UI based off of the templates that are given upon Android development. If I click Spain and then click a city such as Madrid, I'll get Spain and Madrid. France, select a city. Paris, France and Paris. England, London, England and London. You'll notice that I don't have the text that says no city selected. This was a conscious decision because I felt that the user already knows this. The user already knows a city isn't selected, and the old information is already saved when you're already using the app, and I just thought that was more intuitive. And now we will go on to the code to explain this app. This is the second app I made, and much like the previous app, I had faced my fair share of issues. In this case, it was the radio buttons. I had gone from making the first buttons in the previous app to making the new spinners functions in this app and the buttons on this one. The most important thing that I learned from this code was listeners. I had to implement listeners. This was the hard thing in this app. As you can see within this code, I have documented it all fairly well, separated it into its spinner listeners, button listeners, setting up the spinners. It's fairly self-explanatory, and I go through reflection and how I can update it within my full report. This is simply a video explanation. If I had to change it again, I would change the UI to be more customized and not as basic as it is. I can show you the what's it called? I can right here. This is how I use the resource file to. You can see the resource ID to separate in the Java code the different city names and the country names. Well, the country names are down here. Now we will move on to the next app. This is one of the apps I struggled with most. And this would be the Animal Gallery app. I struggled with this the most. As you can see, we can swipe horizontally, welcome to the animal gallery. And then when we click on a lion, we can now swipe down, swipe up, and we have the information on the animals here. And you can always go back, click another animal, gather the information here. The button is fairly basic on this app to go back, and because I didn't want to spend too much time on the UI because I felt this is pretty good. This works to the function. I tried to stay as true to the examples as possible. And now if we go and look at the code for this one, this is assessment app 3. The issue that I faced with this one wasn't more so of coding the app, but it was getting the horizontal and vertical view correct. How I resolved this was by realizing I had to make a separate Java file for this. That didn't occur to me. It was a very simple fix. And I had implemented the animal details within one animal detail activity, and that imports it from the strings of information. I know some people have used multiple files for each animal, but I've chosen to condense it because this is much more simple to me. It makes it much more easy to use. You can see the main activity file right here. Retrieves the animal names directly from the XML array, creates an instance for the animal clicker, and then starts the animal detail activity, which is this one, and then it displays the information pulled and the images as well, right here. Now if we go on to the next app, which is the login app. This one was one of my favorites because it was very nice to use. As you can see, if we type in admin, and then we type in admin again, it will let us through. But we can log out, and if I type in user, then user again, log in, incorrect credentials, and then log in, incorrect credentials, and then log in, incorrect credentials, and then the app would fail. In this case it didn't because I've booted it up on the emulator, and the emulator is a little bit slow at times. You can even clear, and that functions works as intended. If we now go on to the code for this app, it's pretty self-explanatory. There's two Java files for this one. We have the UI elements right here, which the UI elements I chose because I wanted to make it look true to the example again, and I chose bright colors, blue and red, to fit the university and to fully show how to exit out of the app when you click clear. Well, not exit out the app, but to go back. Validate user credentials. You can see all of the code right here, explain with the comments explaining each section. As time is now running out, I will go on to the final app, which was the calculator. The calculator can perform all its functions as intended with multiple operators. 5 times 5 plus 6 divided by 2. It can do decimals, 5.5 plus 6. And there we go. I made the UI again as simple and true to the example as possible with some changes. I made the 0 button bigger because I consider that an important number, and I like to have the operations displayed on the application so we can see what's happening. If we go and look at the code, we can see that the main part was the calculator method. This was the main thing I struggled with, and I had to use regular expression to fix the multiplication issue I faced that you can see in the report. As time is now running out, I will let you see everything else in my report. Thank you for your time. Goodbye.